What's up, you filthy scumbags? I am your host, Rick Jimenez, the Flash Funk Master of Flexing, certified personal trainer from Ironhawk Training, the LWO half of the Stiff Shots podcast, and today I'm once again just one of 5 dirty, rotten, imbecile members of Long Island's most class-cutting, kick-butting band, Extinction A.D. And we're broadcasting from my new home base of Stamford, Connecticut, as well as several other waterlogged places on Long Island. Welcome to not just another episode of Thrashers, Slashers, and the Road to Wrestlemania, but part 2 of 4 of the tournament to decide our favorite metal album of the 90s. My guest this episode, once again, will be every active and one not-so-active member of Extinction A.D., 50% caffeinated, 50% stoned, 100% freak, lead guitar player Ian Samaglia.
What's up? I'm not stoned today.
You're lying.
I'm not.
5 strings of fury, 5 fingers to loudmouths' heads knocking off their sunglasses in the van, and 5 strains of mono, bass player Tom Wood.
Hi, Sensei. Knocking those sunglasses sideways.
You're a real hat knocker.
Co-founder of the band, it's Go Time You Asshole host and former bass player Pieter Vandenberg.
What up, what up?
And lastly, soon to be minus $8,000, overly defensive Ginzo and our drummer Scuzz.
Wait a minute, can we run that back? What the hell?
Yeah, you're soon to be minus $8,000.
Your surgery.
Oh, God. Wow, yeah. Okay.
Yo.
Did that go
I'm
over
also
your
not
head?
smart. I'm also not smart. Got it. Jesus Christ, man. Ooh, that took way too long to figure out. Jesus Christ. Got it. Yes.
Most of you guys honestly let me down last time, so I'm assuming some of you will once more, but it's as much of a tradition as a first day of tour Planet Fitness bicep flexor picture. I'm about ready to crack open some caffeine loudmouth soup because it's time.
Now's the fucking time!
I came all over my...
I'm so proud of you guys.
Oh, I got it all over my sweater.
Pete, you were the only beverage buddy I had last time with your 9-month-old Triton energy. What do you have tonight?
Since the last time recorded, I've been dealing with COVID, and I'm a very tired boy. So I'm going for the Big Daddy this week. C-fucking-4.
Whoa, man.
Starburst Cherry.
Yo, if there's anything that's going to cure COVID, it's C4.
Daddy's night in.
You're going to feel bad.
Okay, well, Tom, mono, what do you got?
Things are different for me now because I've gone through some changes over the past couple of months. Regular celts. I don't want to get too fucking worked up because I need at least 14 hours of sleep a day.
All right, Scuzz, what are you drinking?
No sugar, but regular sparkling water from Lidl, passion fruit flavor.
We can't see that.
I apologize that I'm not C4, but I did have a C4 about 3 hours ago, which is why I opted for this. So.
C3. Ian, you have some crazy light. Is that what you're drinking?
Yeah, what is that, Ian?
I'm drinking a Guava Lamp Hazy IPA by UFO Beer Company.
And we're
I don't
supposed to
know
think
why
you're not high?
my Siri always triggers all
It's
the
the
fucking time.
FBI
It's really
because
annoying.
you always talk about that band.
Yeah. You love
Is it
those.
the Roland TDK that's trigger that you're using?
Drum humor.
I have the last remaining WrestleMania 38 edition of Rockstar Fruit Punch. 240 grams of caffeine, or milligrams. No, grams. It's like cocaine.
You're going to die.
So last episode, we got this tournament going and went through 32 different albums, over 16 matchups, and we're going to do the same today with the second half of the first round. By the time this airs, we will have also have put up a fan voting on our Instagram story, and I'm sure the results will be much different from ours. I'm also sure tons of people are going to whine and complain and bitch and moan and boo fucking who about not meeting the cool guy approved bar with some of our choices, but as we all know, we never care about that bullshit and could also beat up everyone we've ever even come close to seeing, despite the fact that I'm only 5 foot and 41 years old.
I've never been cool. Fuck you.
Hell yeah, man. That's what the fuck I'm talking about.
Okay, let's go through the albums that were eliminated so far in the first round. Carcass Heartwork, Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire, Life of Agony, River Runs Red, Ugly Kid Joe, As Ugly as They Wanna Be, Obituary, Cause of Death, White Zombie, Astro Creep 2000, Sepultura, Roots, Danzig, Lucifuge, Megadeth, Euthanasia, Meshuggah, Destroy, Erase, Improve, Rage Against the Machine, self-titled album, Anthrax, Sound of White Noise, Limp Bizkit, $3 Bill Y'all, Korn, Follow the Leader, At the Gates, Slaughter of the Soul, and Entombed, Wolverine Blues. To me, Sepultura Roots being eliminated in the first round is a fucking travesty. Ian, what do you think the most horseshitty or at least controversial elimination from the last episode was?
I mean, Heartwork, it was really unfortunate that it had to go up against Rust in Peace, because I feel like that definitely deserves a place on this. I'm definitely a bit bummed about Danzig too, though it's understandable why Typo won out. I would have liked to have seen LOA make it through, but I also, with the matchup it had, I get why it didn't. Yeah, that's about it for me. Everything else I'm pretty cool with.
Is anybody sad that Rage Against the Machine made it on twice, but got completely blanked?
Nope.
No.
No, I think they deserve to go on, but I think the right record went forward.
Evil Empire was never beating Vulgar with this group of people. And as much as I preferred self-titled Rage, I like Hidden Treasures a lot. So that's not like a loss so much for me.
We're going to discuss more bands today that their inclusion on this are kind of controversial. But I was just talking to you guys in the text before. I had just finished watching the grunge episode of Metal Evolution, that series from 10 years ago now. And the inclusion of grunge in the story of metal is really interesting. Now, we only had, I believe, the grunge to metal conversation with Allison Chains. It's going to come up again now, but that brought up the whole, quote unquote, post-grunge thing. So the way Metal Evolution broke it down, they had all the way from Bush and Silverchair to Creed and Nickelback. So what do you guys think about grunge and or post-grunge actually also being considered metal or not being considered metal at all?
I mean, I think a lot of it is certainly metal adjacent. A lot of those bands started probably as metal bands, Allison Chains being an example, Soundgarden too, a lot of metallic stuff going on there. And it's not like the term grunge was something it's like, hey, we're going to start a grunge band. It's something that got tacked on later. I mean, I think the roots of it definitely stems from metal and similar genres. It kind of became its own thing to the point where I guess a lot of bands are, coming out in that style probably had nothing really to do with metal. I think it's not unreasonable to discuss grunge when discussing metal in the 90s.
I think I agree with that. What I disagree with what Ian said is I don't think the roots of grunge are metal. I think the roots of grunge are much more punk and rock.
Well, I agree. But there are those certain bands for sure. Like, there's no denying Alice in Chains was just a metal band, really.
I deny that, but
I think that a lot of the post-grunge type bands kind of just look for an avenue to turn it into a way to make more money. The added hooks, the kind of simplicity in the writing, and they kind of just ran with it when they saw a little more success. As I'm thinking about it, I kind of think in a different genre of music, you could almost look at that kind of like the way the Goo Goo Dolls went. The Goo Goo Dolls was like a punk band.
Metal Blade Records.
And then once they started making songs that turned into everybody's first dance at weddings, they started making tons of money. So it's like almost the same formula.
Wasn't Nickelback's first album like a new metal record?
I've never heard it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Everything about Nickelback is humorous for one reason or another, whether you like it or not, there is humor. It was so funny just always writing off Nickelback, and then they had the opening theme song for Monday Night Raw, and me and a bunch of other hardcore friends who would watch wrestling were like, yo, this song is fucking sick.
Yeah, Nickelback has some hard stuff. Like, I feel weird saying that.
You should.
On recording.
Well, it's no worse than what you said last week.
Yeah, they do great Metallica covers.
They did a great cover, sad but true.
Who, Kid Rock?
In this whole discussion of whether grunge should be discussed with metal and included or whatnot, like go back to like even the first like Nirvana record. Like Bleach has a lot of shit on it that is very metallic.
Yo, there's a double
heavy
kick on Bleach. It's not like crazy, but there is there. And it is interesting. It's, you know what? It's moderately interesting, probably less interesting than the time.
That was single kick and a floor tom.
All right, enough horsing around and clip clop neighing as hell. You guys ready to get back to round one of this shit?
Let's rock and
Let's get back to round one of this shit.
Maybe we'll all be a little more mean to each other tonight. We're all used to it. You got to be used to it in this band and have some thick skin.
My skin's so thick.
All right, so grab your all-access backstage passes with Alice Cooper. Thank you, because we are now entering the Wayne's World bracket. All right, number 1 seed, Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss, taking on a wild card 8th seed, Opeth with My Arms, Your Hearse. Ian, what's your vote?
I'm leaving. Come
Slayer.
on.
I love Opeth. My Arms, Your Hearse is not my favorite Opeth record, not of the 90s for sure. And Seasons of the Abyss is my favorite Slayer record of the 90s. So, Seasons. Seasons.
Tom, I feel like one of these is right up your tailpipe and one of these is not right up your tailpipe.
Get that on the tailpipe. I don't give a fuck about Opeth, dude. Like, I'm sorry, Pete, I guess. I don't know.
I know your attention span can't handle songs more than like 5 minutes, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, why would you want it to? That's fucking boring, you know?
Is Orion boring? Is Master of Puppets boring?
Hey, Ian,
I mean,
you voted for Seasons of the Abyss.
Yeah, dude, I'm on your side of the debate here.
Yeah, but fuck you anyway.
Why are you fighting me?
Ian loved Opeth.
No, I think Opeth is just, it never got my head moving.
Are you making fun of one of the ways I described things last time? Is that where we are? We haven't even gone through one goddamn bracket yet, and we're already shitting on the way I speak.
Rick asked us.
God damn it. This is bullshit.
Listen, Tom's just really trying to eloquate right now. And,
Okay, so Seasons in the Abyss is my favorite Slayer record, so I'm going to vote for that also. But Pete, you were the one who included Opeth on this, and it got in with the wild card, and I'm glad you did because I don't think I had ever heard Opeth knowingly. Definitely have when you were driving and didn't know what I was listening to. It's just not my thing, but I definitely appreciate it, and I wish I liked it more because I feel bad about your immediate sadness.
Here's the thing. It's very obviously Seasons in the Abyss because that is the best Slayer record, in my opinion. I love that Opeth album, but I think Opeth's best work comes in the early 2000s. I think that's really when they hit their stride. But what I like about My Arms, Your Hearse is I think it's the album that shows where they're going to go. It started to incorporate more of the melodic, more of the folky acoustic interludes. There's a bit more singing on it, but you still get a lot of the sort of aggressive, more sort of older death metal stuff. But the problem is it's up against Seasons in the fucking Abyss. Like,
if Still Life was the Opeth record chosen, I probably would have had a slightly harder time picking Seasons, but still would have picked Seasons anyway.
yeah.
If Still Life, the Long Island hardcore band from 1997 to 1998 was against Seasons, I would probably also still pick Seasons. Scuds, final vote.
There's really not one record of Opeth that ever didn't come off like a snooze fest, as Ian always puts it to me. So I really couldn't care much about Opeth. So sadly, Opeth is going to lose. And Seasons of the Abyss is moving forward.
Seasons, with the unanimous vote once more, went very far in the thrash metal tournament also. The record I cut class to go and buy, 2nd seed Pantera, Great Southern Trendkill, taking on the 7th seed controversial Slayer album, Diabolus in Musica. Tom, you get first vote here.
Well, obviously, it's going to be Great Southern Trendkill.
I was going to say, don't act like this is a debate.
No, I know, but I really wanted a Slayer record to do well. I think his fucking record kills.
I like that.
Trendkill is just fucking. It's fucking. It's really good. I don't really need to get into specifics on how cool that record is. Everybody knows it's a landslide. It's a fucking landslide.
Well, I'm also going to vote for Great Southern Trendkill. I think this album, dude, who puts out 4 albums in a row that are just killers? Only legendary benchmark bands like Pantera and Metallica and Slayer. To me, Megadeth has a 4-album stretch. It's not all grand slams, even though a grand slam would be 4, so the analogy is a little shitty. But 4 albums in a row that are killers is really, really difficult. Now, on the other hand, I don't think Slayer has ever put out a bad record, including this record. I did not like this record when it first came out because I was a snobby, hardcore prick, and I was like, well, I like Slayer, and they didn't put out the exact thing I wanted them to. When I finally got over myself and dug into this record, I always thought like, oh, this is a new metal record. It's not fucking new metal. It has
Not even close.
It has hints of trying to incorporate some of that stuff for sure, absolutely. And that's even more than just the low tuning. You got the whispering. You have the dun 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 dun. You have that type of shit. But I think they incorporated some cool stuff that was nu metal-ish. If somebody wants to say this is their nu metal record, I'm not going to, argue with them, because I'm not going to argue with anybody that I think is an asshole unless they're in my band. But I'm choosing Great Southern Trendkill. Pete, you get the next vote.
So this is Slayer's nu metal record. This is one of the albums that I today was like, I wasn't as familiar with, so I went and made some notes on it. And literally the first 3 words on my notes are nu metal Slayer.
Yeah, that's cool.
To me, it sounds like a band covering Slipknot trying to do Slayer. And Stain of Mind, I think, is the most evident example of that. Bitter Peace is really fucking cool. But I find the drum sound to be super fucking distracting. And ultimately, I really did not enjoy this, hoping I was going to. And then you have, in my opinion, Pantera's best record. So, Great Southern Trendkill.
That is going to be a debate later on, I believe, and I can't wait to hear it. Do you guys think this record would have sounded less nu metal if the songs were exactly the same, but the production was more typical Slayer?
I don't think so.
No.
I think the songs are the songs, for sure.
Yeah, they're
Like,
a little
you
nu
can't-
metal, huh?
They are a little bit.
I mean, what song on the record screams nu metal more than fucking Stain of Mind? Is there anything that comes like close?
I think in general,
all
it's
songs have hints of it. But Stain of
Yeah.
Mind to me is a full-on nu metal song.
there's shit on Diabolus that I think is awesome. Bitter Peace. So fucking hard, man.
Yeah.
Great
so
opener.
sick.
Great
And
album
it's
opener.
so like raw that makes it even sound even better.
Yeah, production wise, I haven't listened to that record enough to really like say too much about the production, other than it probably sounds better than fucking Divine Intervention.
Oh, man. I wish I was Tom, and I wish you were wearing sunglasses. Scuzz, what is your vote?
It's Trendkill, without a doubt. Just put them next to each other. I'll listen to Trendkill every other day. I'll pass over Diabolus.
Okay, so we got 4 for Trendkill. So, Ian, are you going to make it unanimous?
Yeah.
You know what I just noticed? Slayer was in 2 matches in a row, but they are not fighting themselves in the second round because Great Southern Trendkill unanimously goes to the second round. Okay, Seed 3 making their second appearance in the tournament, a featured album from the second season of this podcast, Fear Factory with their debut Demanufacturer, taking on the 6th seed Crowbar's Obedience. Now, I get first vote here. I'm going to keep this really, really short and concise. This is not what I want to hear when I listen to Crowbar. I want Crowbar to sound heftier, which they do eventually. I think if I would have heard this album first with Crowbar, as opposed to hearing this way later and already having such a established view of what I think the band is, so fair or not, this Crowbar album literally just does not do it for me. I am not a fan of this Crowbar record. And this Fear Factory record is, even today, so imitated, but this actually, to me, sounds fresh. This sounds like a robot driving a robotic car to run over another robot, but all done on planet Earth. So I am voting for Fear Factory. Pete, you have second vote.
I agree on what you said about Crowbar. My intro to the band was Oddfellows Rest, and I'm like, to me, there's such beef and thickness to that. It's a fucking hippopotamus, man. Like that. Not voiced by Jada Pinkett Smith.
God.
So I will also leave this Crowbar record off this fucking bracket, and I'll take Fear Factory for show. That album rules.
Okay, Scuzz, you have the next vote. I feel like I know what you actually think, and I think I know what you want people to think the shirt you're going to wear.
Man, I'm really like falling short of all your jokes to me today. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna go with Fear Factory just
What
because
else
it
is new?
sounds better, and I'm not really familiar with that Crowbar record. And even when I gave it a shot, I got through maybe 2 or 3 songs. I'm like, I'm with you. It's not what I want to listen to when I listen to Crowbar. Sorry, but that Fear Factory record sounds like Fear Factory, and it's definitely something that we'll put on in the van and be like, God damn, yeah. Like, what the fuck? Why haven't we listened to this in so long? You know what I mean?
I was about to ask if it's fair that we're judging this Crowbar record based on what we think of when we think of Crowbar, but I mean, of course it's fair. It's our fucking opinion.
How did this one get through and not Crowbar self-title? That's what I want to know.
2 people voted for this, and only 1 person voted for Crowbar self-titled. Ian, you have the next vote.
I'm going to vote Via My Hands.
Sounds like somebody that doesn't know how to play drums hitting on their thighs.
Hey,
No. That was Ian. That wasn't you, Scuzz.
I am not having fun tonight. Okay.
This doesn't look like Wayne's basement.
well, I mean, it is
I'm
an
not
even day of the
having-
fucking week.
Any goddamn fun right now. This is not fair.
Podcast no good. I want to
This
leave.
is no good. I want to leave.
Okay, so Ian, you're going with Fear Factory?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about actual like game changer record. I know it's a corny term, but like with demanufacture, it's absolutely valid. I mean, I also just would probably rather listen to that than, I don't want to say most Crowbar, but like depends on my fucking mood because I fucking like Crowbar a lot too. But demanufacture, man, shit, it fucking rocks. I don't know.
Okay, so we got 4 for demanufacturer. Tom, are you going to make it unanimous for the 3rd time in a row today?
Yes. Crowbar, I really like Crowbar. They didn't fucking reinvent the wheel though. You know, they're a thick ass, heavy elephant band. You know, if you wanna do some heavy grooving, cool. Fear Factory, that record they invented that.
Yeah, they invented Joe Rogan.
They invented Joe Rogan.
In defense of Crowbar, I think Crowbar themselves are also a very influential and important band in the wide spectrum of heavy music. A different side of it than Fear Factory for sure. But to me, Obedience Through Suffering is not the record.
Yeah, I didn't mean that as a slight to them. Definitely their influence in that like sludge world and all that. But what Fear Factory was doing then was just something that nobody had heard yet. So
yeah.
That means a little more.
Yo, do you remember how cool of a band Crowbar is, especially watching them live and playing with them? And when we did
so
those
good.
shows with Kingdom of Sorrow, oh man.
God.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they sound so big
Yeah.
anywhere they go. Any stage they play, they sound so fucking big. Anything Kirk does sounds so big. And he has 2 Thin Lizzy tattoos. And it's the coolest shit in the world. And
He also
that
has
guy,
2 Motorhead tattoos.
Yo, double tattoos is so cool.
Doesn't he have a That Metal Show tattoo?
Yeah.
That's not a thing on an episode once.
Yo, I said to him, hey, do you want to see a funny tattoo? And he goes, yeah. And I pulled my pants down and I said, look, it says ZZ Top Gun. And he goes, oh, that's pretty cool.
dude, he was also half passed out or actually passed out after we played, ripping down a huge Red Bull, looks up and goes, you guys sounded sick. And then goes back to laying down on the ground. He's a fucking legend for just existing.
Here's a real debate. Better riffer, Dino or Kirk?
Great question.
You know what? We'll settle that another time because I don't feel like making any more decisions. The final matchup of the Wayne's World bracket. Allison Chains' self-titled album in the 4th seed against the Ace Ventura-approved 5th seed of Cannibal Corpse with The Bleeding. Pete, this matchup is made for you. Right made for you, not a saying, just invented it. It's cool. It gives head. I think you'll like it. What's your vote?
Well, so when I listened back to episode 1, I realized that I voted for Allison Chains, even though I said I don't think that they're a metal band. There's good songs on this Allison Chains record, but it's probably not in my top 3 or maybe top 5 Allison Chains records.
Wow.
But the fucking Bleeding. Cannibal Corpse adds some groove and a bit more technicality. One of the funniest song titles that I will not say, but it's fucking funny.
Oh, yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Just say it.
It's
I'm
really
voting for
funny.
Bleeding because it's a metal record.
Scuzz, second vote.
It's tough because I love Allison Chains. They're in my big 4, but I think there are better records. And I think because this is like the important Cannibal one,
One of them.
I think this is one probably the most, in my opinion.
But do you like the Cannibal Corpse record more than the Allison Chains record?
No, I don't.
Because the
So,
debate now isn't
yeah.
whether one of these records is metal or not at this point, or what's more important. It already has made the tournament, so it's what record is your favorite between these two.
Yeah, and if I continue to, make the decision using that formula, which I try to every time, I'll have to go with Allison Chains. That's a tough matchup for me.
This is a very odd matchup. These records probably push
Yeah.
the extremes of what is even on this tournament. But Ian, you are very, very, very
Sexy.
rigid in your definitions here, and I think that dictates your opinion sometimes. I don't think that will dictate your opinion on this. I think I know your opinion. But Allison Chains, self-titled, Cannibal Corpse, The Bleeding.
It's The Bleeding. And listen, I think Tripod's a cool record, as some people like to call it.
Yo, Josh Grabell had a three-legged dog that he named Yard. We're like, you named your dog Yard? He's like, yeah, because it's got 3 feet. I said, cool, thanks for giving us a lot of money to record Sundowning.
That's fucking cool, man. That's really funny. That also sounds like a new hardcore band.
You know what that is? That's Piss Boy.
Bono
Stains.
Okay.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of really cool shit on that Allison Chains record. I think Grind is one of their sickest songs for sure. That's one of the first Allison Chains songs I heard, actually. The Bleeding is the record that absolutely got me into death metal. It's probably that record for a lot of people. It's the apex of just good songwriting for that band, at least up until that point. The catchiest songs. And to make death metal catchy, I don't think is the easiest task. And Cannibal Corpse absolutely fucking did that. So fucking good. Scott Burns, man. Like, that man, like, invented the sound of death metal and, you know, could argue, like, perfected it on this record. So it's got to be The Bleeding.
So I'm not even a big death metal guy under any circumstances. The last Cannibal Corpse record that just came out was my favorite record of last year, and the first Cannibal Corpse record that I ever actually said start to finish, oh, I love this fucking rocks. So then I went back and started to listen to some of their other stuff, and I like it to varying degrees. So I wasn't very familiar with this record, and I went back and listened to it, and I liked it more on this listen than ever before. But either way, I love that Allison Chains record, and like I said, it's probably pushing the limits of what we could actually call metal. There's a lot of songs on this record that are not metal, but then you have something like Grind, which is so metal, even with that super classic rock chorus. And again was so metal that they are straight up dressed in fucking leather in the video. So I'm voting Allison Chains, and I'm also doing that so I could pass the buck to Tom for the tiebreaker.
Oh no, is this a tiebreaker? The amount of green weed that I smoked to this Allison Chains record is crazy, but the amount of brown alcohols that I drank to this Cannibal Corpse record is also dangerous. I don't know if that helps at all, but if it wasn't for the song Grind, I would pick the Cannibal Corpse record. But I do like this Allison Chains record better, so I think that it's still metal, but it's the least metal Allison Chains record.
But that's what you're voting for.
Yeah.
Okay, I am blown away. Even though I even voted for Allison Chains, I was hoping you were going to choose Cannibal Corpse because I think Cannibal Corpse, you know, quote unquote, deserves to be here more. But I mean, it's fucking
does.
It's democracy.
That was my whole issue too. But then you talked me out of it.
No, I talked you out of posing.
Listen,
No, you gotta go with what
How is that
in-
posing?
You have to go with your favorite in your heart, not what Ian's gonna get mad about. Who cares about him?
Yeah, who fuck me? Listen, I'll take this L if that means Rage Against the Machine will never touch this list.
There you go.
Okay, so Cannibal Corpse is out of the entire tournament. Off the silver screen and down the entranceway of WrestleMania 13, we're now onto the Stone Cold Steve Austin bracket. When you hear that glass, it's your ass, and there is no more kick-assing and break-glassing in the 90s metal than number 1 seed Metallica Black Album, head-to-head with their mid-90s tour mates, the 8th seed Corrosion of Conformity with Deliverance. All right, let's hear about your non-year-and-a-half watching Southern roots here, Scuzz.
You want to going off of last round? You want to know what I listen to more and what I like more? I'm picking Deliverance. Like I listen I listen to that more than I listen to the Black Album. Not taking anything away from how important the Black Album is and how much you all blow them, but it's just like
We blow them.
blow
Blow them.
them. I'm picking Deliverance because there's just so much about it that I like, and I listen to it more than I listen to the Black Album.
Ian, I know you don't know A Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica verbatim, but at least you've heard of it. Unlike some other people who were born in the swamps of Louisiana, apparently. What is your vote, Ian?
I wish.
It's the fucking Black Album, man. I mean, Metallica is my favorite band. The Black Album is my second favorite Metallica album. So it's gonna be that. Listen, the fucking COC is bad the fuck ass. Like, you know, Albatross, give me a fucking break,
Dude,
brother.
Albatross is so goddamn good.
Fucking
man.
rules.
Yo, is Deliverance the best corrosion conformity record?
I think Deliverance is probably the most iconic.
Deliverance is my go-to if I'm not going to their earlier crossover stuff.
Yeah.
It's not my turn, but being that I said that, I might as well just vote. I think Deliverance is super cool. I'm not even going to bother talking about the Black Album because we'll talk about it later on, I'm sure, but I am choosing the Black Album. Look at the inside spine of our new record, and you will find out even more what I think about you if you don't like the Black Album. Tom, what's your vote?
The Black Album.
Pete, what's your vote?
Black Album. So today, as I was making my notes on these albums, came to COC Deliverance, and I wrote just 3 words under it: made for scuzz. Funny. Listening to this and listening to Crowbar today, I was like, oh, these 2 albums are cool. We already went over the better album of these 2 albums combined, which is Down. Noah.
Yeah, but, all right. Do you guys actually hate that style, or do you just like to give me shit?
What, like the bouncy hammer-on beard stuff?
Yeah, like I'm talking, but like there obviously, you know, there are records and songs that are good that you probably don't hate. Is it more of like you legitimately can't stand that style, or you just love to hate on what I like?
Really
that
like
style?
the good version.
I don't think anybody else actually makes decisions and says things just to contradict you. I think if we like something, we say we like it. If we don't like,
with a straight face.
if we don't like something, we say we don't like it. I would say 99% of that hammer-on, dum ba boom ba boom ba boom ba boom, oh, beer, is corny as hell. I think taking a shower and having a 6-pack rocks, and I think rolling around in mud and driving a pickup truck really sunks. Okay, so Metallica Black Album gets 4 votes, and Scuzz votes for Corrosion Conformity, which is a good record. But we'll talk to exhausting lengths about the Black Album later on. Another hugely influential album to us on Culture of Violence, the 2nd-seeded Testament Low, against an argument-starting 7th seed, Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1.
Oh, man.
Easiest fucking decision ever, man. Come on.
Well, Ian, you get first vote. Let's hear your vote for Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 1.
Okay, well, it's going to be low regardless if I've even heard the album or not, because Guns N' Roses is not metal. They're not a fucking metal band. I'm sorry. And that's no disrespect, but GNR is not a fucking metal band. Also, I don't give a fuck about Use Your Illusion. And Testament Low. Let's talk about fucking Low for a minute.
Just 1 minute, though.
1 minute. How hard dickin' is that album? The hardest. Talk about a fucking, let's just give props for Testament for being a band that never gave the fuck up, that stuck it through, and in the meantime wrote some of the sickest shit ever when metal wasn't even like the cool thing. The fact that they did their record, or a couple records where you could argue they were probably trying to get a little bit more into the mainstream, and the fact that the thing they followed it up with was like the heaviest thing they've done, keeping with the times, Chuck Billy adding an entire new vocal style that's, relevant to that time and pulling it the fuck off and crushing it. You have James Murphy, probably one of my biggest influences on Culture of Violence, where his lead specifically on this record. So shout out to James Murphy. Second time he's on this list, because Cause of Death and all that. It's like arguably the best Testament record if you want to have that argument.
We will get to it, I'm sure.
It's just fucking so badass, man. Listen, I like GNR, but that's a record I would never be like, yeah, I want to listen to this start to finish. No, never.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Put a shirt on.
Tom, Ian's challenging you to a fight, and you have the next vote.
And you'll lose.
Put a shirt on? You mean like how when Slash does his solo in the desert with his shirt open like this? When he's in the fucking...
Because he's a rock god, not a metal god.
He drives his fucking car off a cliff with that and he's just like, bye. And then guess what? He's at the top of the cliff and goes over the fucking side. Fuck you, man. I like everything you said about Testament because I wish that it was in a different bracket, but I'm going Slash.
I would slither around the snake pit all day if given the opportunity.
Well, I get next vote. I had both of these records on my list. I think Guns N' Roses does count as a metal band. Some of those guys count them as a metal band. But I'm going to get with you, Ian. I'm also going to choose Low, which is my favorite Testament record, hands down. I'm going to be hard-pressed to vote anything against this record. I think the Eric Peterson and Murphy combination is the best guitar combination in all of Testament. I will take Murphy over Skolnick any day of the week, twice on Sunday, 3 times on WrestleMania Saturday. Pete, what is your vote?
I love Guns N' Roses. I'm with Ian. I don't think they're a metal band. I think they are the LA Sunset hard rock band. And I think if you were to look that up in the dictionary, there'd be a picture of Slash right next to Axl singing into a microphone together, sweaty on stage, just getting all the coups.
Yeah.
I could see why people would put them in that. But to me, I think it's especially I don't think Slash is a metal guitar player.
I think that's kind of...
To me, Slash is of the Jimmy Page school. Testament is a band that I came to definitely later. I've heard Low a ton of times being in the van and stuff like that. Listening to it again in preparation for this, it is bad the fuck ass. And it is so bad the fuck ass that they could put a disco beat in Dogface Gods and you will snap your fucking neck.
Yeah.
Dude, do you know how hard it is to put a disco beat in music and make it sound even cool, let alone so hard? Testament did it on this album, and Vinnie Paul does it on Cowboys. But I mean, look at that fucking benchmark, man. That is impressive shit.
And we're going to do it on our 4th full length because I'm putting it on the list.
The original demo for Instruments of Death.
Yep.
The breakdown had the disco beat. So Testament has 3 votes and is moving on. But Scuzz, Pete referenced Jimmy Page, the guitar player of who you proclaimed the heaviest band of all time.
That was a joke, man.
I know.
That was a complete joke. I'm with the majority of you, and I don't really find Guns N' Roses to be a metal band in my sense of the word, so I'm going to go with Low from Testament.
Okay, so Low moves on, and even though I think Guns N' Roses is metal enough to make it onto the tournament, the Use Your Illusion albums are probably the least metal things they did, and the argument would probably be easier for Appetite for Destruction. But the argument is null and void because...
you guys wanted Primus on the fucking list. Stop.
Not me, motherfucker.
Come on, not you. These 2 motherfucking goons on the bottom.
Use Your Illusion washed win.
Why notice Big Brown Beaver is so much heavier.
Hey, Tom, don't cry tonight.
Dude.
Don't you cry tonight.
It's fucking crazy, man.
I'm sick of your double talk and jive.
I got a bad obsession with this fucking record, man.
Okay, you guys sound like a bunch of bad apples. The number 3 seed in my... Okay, the number 3 seed in my homemade shirt of Skid Row Slave to the Grind, taking on the 6th seed, new metal tracksuit all-stars, Deftones with Around the Fur. Tom, first vote.
Oh, dude, I love your fucking shirt, man. Every time you wear it, I like to come up and scratch your tummy and make some noise with it. This fucking square ass cardboard fucking shit sounds like this. Yes, it sounds like that. I mean, Deftones is cool, I guess. It's never really something that got my head moving.
Not that funny, man. Really not that funny.
Yeah, but it'll get your fucking cock moving.
You know what does get my cock moving, though, is Sebs. And Sebs be hitting them notes. That album is fucking just a slamming front to back. So, come on, man.
So I get second vote. Skid Row Slave to the Grind is so fucking awesome from start to finish. It's so heavy. It has so much
pubes.
I really, really love the first Skid Row album, but this one took it to a whole new level. They're so heavy, but they also have all the same bullshit that you love from the kind of glam stuff. They were always a little more or a lot more than a glam band. They took Pantera on tour on this record. On the other hand, the Deftones is a band that I've tried so hard, and I even kind of liked White Pony when I listened to it when it was featured on this show about a year ago. But in all actuality, man, I would really have to be paid more money than I was today to spend an hour doing a vocal session for a movie to actually invest any more time into Deftones. I really wouldn't mind if they stopped playing for the rest of my life. So I'm going to choose Skid Row. Pete, you are a huge fan of one of these bands, and the other one I don't really know where you stand. So you get next vote.
This is tough because Slave to the Grind fucking struts, man, and strolls.
It does.
It really does, yeah.
And it's cool that they got heavier, which I have to point out, there are kind of a disproportionate amount of ballads on this for how heavy some of the other songs are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a fist.
Savage animal.
It's really cool that a band like them, who probably could have gone softer to get more radio play and, you know, bigger stuff and all that kind of shit, would start to go heavier on their next record. The issue is that I think this Deftones record is horny with a capital H. Horny, baby.
I don't know, man.
I think this is the Deftones record that it is the entryway into the rest of their career. And I mean, you've got My Own Summer is an iconic song in nu metal and more modern 90s metal. Even just, it's a 2-drum hit open, but like those two, you know, that happens and you know what's coming. Terry Date did it. It's got your boy Max Cavalera's on the album. A friend of mine hilariously played My Own Summer at the Acoustic Battle of the Bands when I was in high school. This is very difficult because I like these both, and they are much like our earlier Cannibal Corpse versus Allison Chains thing. Very different ends of the metal spectrum. I'm going to pick Around the Fur.
Next vote goes to Scuzz.
I like the versatility that Skid Row offers as a band, being able to do so many different things, being able to like kind of sort of be pigeonholed in the glam thing, but also offer some really, really heavy riffs. And obviously I am a big fan of the Deftones, but this is not really one of my favorite records from them. A couple good songs on it, but most of it's kind of, I'll overlook the majority of this record. So I'll go with Skid Row on this one, just because it's more of a fun listen for me. And because, again, Around the First, not the Deftones record for me.
Wow, you are blowing my mind. I never, ever saw that coming. So Skid Row has 3, Deftones has 1. Skid Row is moving on in a quite easy battle. But Ian, let's hear from you first.
Obviously, Skid Row is moving forward with a democratic vote. I was waiting really long to make that joke.
Democracy.
And it's funny because I put Around the Fur on my list, and there's a lot of shit on the record that I think is really cool. Of course, it is a very influential record in its own right. I'm actually way more of a fan of later Deftones.
Same.
Like more like Diamond Eyes On is kind of more my speed.
Is that what gets credit for being like the super horny shit now?
Yeah,
I mean, I can tell you, I've definitely...
self-titled.
No, first of all, no, you haven't.
Okay, let's hear it, Ian.
I'm gonna say I've definitely fucked more the Deftones than Skid Row, but don't put that in. I'm drunk. I'm actually gonna go with Skid Row because you wanna know what? All the
riffs are so cool.
Snake just slithering all over the fretboard. I'm feeling a bit slithery tonight more than just, high in the corner fucking crying.
It's a vibe, man. It's a vibe, dude. And it's way more of a vibe with Skid Row than it is for Deftones for this competition.
I would say that there is no more vibey band on this list than Deftones.
Yeah,
Dude,
we're talking about a metal
I
vibe.
love
If we're talking
Deftones.
about a metal vibe, Skid Row's riffs are fucking ass kickers and rhinoceros poachers.
Mud kickers.
Yeah, mud kicking rhinoceros punchers.
Where did
Hey,
that
listen,
even come from?
I'm not mad about Skid Row going on. That album fucking rules.
Okay, so Skid Row moves on with 4 votes. Pete, I appreciate your inclusion of Deftones. I'm sorry I'm so mean about that band all the time. And
Oh, good.
I'm sorry, Dan Turr, that I'm not going to imitate Deftones singing right now. Finishing up this bracket, a thrash metal slugfest between 2 titans, the 4th seed Sepultura Arise against the 5th seed Slayer Divine Intervention. And I'm so glad that I get first vote here because I love almost everything Sepultura did in the entire Max era. Dude, Arise is virtually unbeatable, and I know that people look down on Divine Intervention, and I look down on them, which is hard to do if I'm not standing on a ladder, but I continue to do it because I'm fucking picking Slayer Divine Intervention. I think this record is so underrated. I think this record straight up goes to a police, takes the police, puts it up to someone's stomach, and watches their face change. I think Sepultura definitely stabs people, but I don't think it's watching their face change as consistently as Divine Intervention is.
Because it cuts their faces off.
It may do that, but dude, Divine Intervention, I don't understand what it is about that record that people have a problem with. They took their signature sound and put it through this 90s production and added more heaviness and played even faster and did more abrasive vocal shit. I count Divine Intervention with the 80s and Seasons of the Abyss as far as Slayer on their A game. Most people in the world disagree with me, so I believe I'm going to get shut out here, but I can't possibly go on more about how much I love Divine Intervention. Pete, second vote.
So this is one of the Slayer records that I was not as well versed on. Not as. So I gave it another listen through again today. I think, like Diabolus, it suffers from the drum tone. I think there's great songs. I think Killing Fields is a fucking murderer. The title track sounds like it could be on Seasons in the Abyss to me. But ultimately, I found it to be in the way of Slayer records, middle of the road. That said, I like Sepultura better when they are driving in a tank down the road and running over all the endangered species. I don't care for them
Max wouldn't do that.
When they're speeding down the highway, kind of doing their version of the Bay Area. Arise is still sick, and ultimately I'm going to go for that because what I think is interesting about it is, to me, Arise is heavy in the way that And Justice for All is heavy, not in the way that Chaos AD is heavy. So that's an interesting kind of a change for the band. And funny because I almost think Arise to Chaos kind of mimics Decimation Treaty to Culture of Violence.
Oh man, I don't disagree, and I do like that. Scuzz.
Divine Intervention was one of the first introductions to Slayer for me. Ditto Head is one of my favorite songs. I like the way it sounds because of all the things you said. And that introduction is like what I thought everything should sound like in that genre. It just sticks with me and has stuck with me over time. As much as I like Sepultura is kind of like another Metallica thing for me where I like the band. I like almost damn near every offering they give, but it's not something that I'll always listen to. So given like matchup, I'm going for Divine Intervention.
Is Divine Intervention Bostaff or Lombardo?
That is the first album with Bostaff. Bostaff is not as tight as Lombardo, but for 1994, Bostaff, his style, especially with Slayer, gave it that modern edge that I was looking for.
And that's probably why I stick with Bostaff so much in my life, because this is the first introduction to that type of speed, that type of power. I mean, I'll always say that Bostaff is my favorite Slayer drummer, and I'll get shit for that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you shit for that now.
I'll get shit for that everywhere I go, from here to Timbuktu all day. But he fucking rules. And, you know, while Lombardo is still the sickest, and I'm still psyched that Lombardo's fucking Testament now, I love Bostaff, and I love this record, and that's my story.
I think the most judgmental towards you is going to be Ian, and Ian also gets next vote.
Arise is fucking awesome.
Yes.
You can argue it is the apex of thrash Sepultura before they made the jump. There's definitely hints of what's to come on Arise, like the Dead Embryonic Cells breakdown, Desperate Cry. There's a lot of like heavy fucking riffs on that album.
Heavy.
You know, it's all fucking standard E tuning, just balls to the wall badassness.
No, it's in E flat.
I thought it was C sharp.
Yo, I didn't even have to put the gun to your stomach to watch your face change. Go on.
Divine Intervention, that album, it's very much sounds like Slayer made a conscious effort to like turn everything up a notch, especially compared to Seasons, where sonically and even like vocally similar to South of Heaven, where, you know, Tom's doing a lot more of like the not so gritty, kind of just more like melodic or, you know, tonal kind of stuff. Where on Divine, it's like the introduction of, I would say, is more like modern style, where it's that really aggro, fucking pissed off yell, where he really gets like high up there. Musically, it's definitely up a notch. Like Killing Fields, there's, you know, the whole verse is in that weird, like, got that weird timing thing going on, and there's a lot of really like techie riffs if you really like listen to it. It's not my favorite sounding Slayer record. The guitar sound is not my favorite that they've had.
Also, let me interject really quick. So many of the other metal bands that fit in the early 90s put out a record in 88 or 89 or 90. And then once Metallica put out the Black Album, everybody's subsequent record kind of mimicked, you know, the Black Album in some way, shape, or form. And Slayer, like you said, went the exact opposite. Oh, everyone's kind of chilled out a little bit, more melodic, better production. They said, hey, you know what? We're going to double our aggression. We're going to double our speed. We're going to really fuck around.
There was no shot Slayer was going to follow the post-Black Album trend because they're fucking Slayer. There's so many sick songs on Divine Intervention. Killing Field, opening with that fucking badass drum fill. Hey, here's our new drummer, motherfucker. Drum fill followed by just like consistent double kick fucking the entire song. That shit rocks. There are songs on that record that straight up like almost make me uncomfortable, like Sex, Murder, Art. Lyrically, not a song I would want to sing along to. There's so much sick shit. Serenity and Death, Ditto Head. I mean, my vote is going for Divine Intervention.
Oh, man, I can't believe it. I'm so excited because Divine Intervention is now moving on over Arise, and the one who is going to be the saddest about it has the next vote. Let's just put it in anyway. Tom.
Yeah. I'm cool with this Slayer record moving on. I always really liked it. I thought it was like a super like mega aggro sounding heavy ass fucking thrasher. But if I had to put it against Arise is a fucking juggernaut, like nonstop, just ass beating from start to finish. And I like Awesome Dinner better, but it doesn't matter.
I'm surprised. I'm really, really surprised that Arise didn't win this because everybody said it already. But Arise is that bridge to get to Chaos A.D., where it's still thrashy as hell, but you could hear that they're ready to pound people with their fucking fists, not just their knives.
Yeah, and it is, if they didn't go that direction, cool too.
Exactly.
Because it is a fucking motherfucker of a thrash record.
Well, motherfucker or not, it has been edged out by Slayer Divine Intervention. Super, super surprising. But hey, we finally have a really cool upset. We're halfway through part 2 of the second round to determine our favorite 90s metal album. With no qualifications given, everyone chime in with your favorite metal album of the 80s. Tom.
And Justice for All.
Ian.
Master of Puppets.
Scuzz.
I don't even know.
What?
All types of shit. I don't even know where to start.
I don't even know, man. Like, I don't even, I almost put the
Metal up your ass.
Pete.
Tough to choose between Rain and Blood or Ride the Lightning. I'll probably choose Rain and Blood.
Scuzz, do you want me to come back to you?
If we're going quick, I'll go Rain of Blood.
I'm going to go in Justice for All also, which is a surprise to absolutely no one. Transitioning from 80s metal to 90s metal, things definitely got a little extreme, and there was nothing more extreme than this woman as we enter the Jenna Jameson bracket. Yo, do you guys remember how cool the Spice Channel was in the 90s?
Oh, God, yeah, man. The sickest.
Excited to start this bracket with Pete's vote because the opening matchup is between the number 1 seed, making their 5th appearance in the tournament, Megadeth, with Countdown to Extinction, versus the 8th seed from Brooklyn, before it was a corny joke, Biohazard, with their Roadrunner debut, Urban Discipline. Pete.
This is one of the easier decisions I will make tonight, and it's Countdown to Extinction. Because to me, and this is what's funny, is I cannot believe that 4 dudes that would write Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction would write Euthanasia. I do not think that this Biohazard album is fucking metal at all. Aside from the fact that they put a wah pedal on a couple whittly diddly solos. That's the only difference between this and Satisfaction is the Death of Desire from it being hardcore. If the fact that this is on here but Satisfaction isn't, to me, is ridiculous.
I think that's crazy because Biohazard, as much as they were embraced sometimes and not embraced other times by the hardcore scene, they were never a part of the hardcore scene. They exclusively played metal shows. And if you ask any of them, they never thought of themselves as a hardcore band. So that is interesting. On the other hand, I don't think what you're saying is ridiculous under any circumstances.
I will say that maybe my view of them is a product of we're talking about this in 2022.
Which is fair.
Because I go back and listen to that. Every song is I'm like, this is just a New York hardcore song. I don't get what's metal about this at all.
So I got into Biohazard as a metal band once I discovered hardcore. I went back, I was like, oh, Biohazard was a hardcore band. And then I see the difference. You know, they're more metal than hardcore, but they have tons of hardcore, and they're from New York, so it's unmistakable.
Is it original Garbage Man vocals?
Yeah, that is Garbage Man as hell. I love it. Scuzz, what's your vote?
Slam is really cool with Biohazard.
Not on this record.
Shit. No, I know. I'm saying that's one of the reasons why I think Biohazard's cool.
Okay.
I don't really find Biohazard to be a metal band, and it was never my thing. And Megadeth is really not my favorite metal band ever anyway, but the songs and everything that rules about that record are way cooler than anything on this record from Biohazard. So,
Ian, what do you think?
I think Biohazard's inclusion, it's a very fine line with the whole hardcore metal debate. I think it is fair to include them here. That being said, Countdown is my favorite Megadeth album, so there's no chance any record going up against this, there's a good chance it was going to lose. So it's going to be Countdown. I mean, just the songwriting is top notch on that album. I think one of my top favorite Megadeth songs ever, Ashes in Your Mouth. Come on. Countdown to Extinction, man. I want to buy a Jackson guitar now.
Tom, you're getting a Jackson guitar for $0. What do you vote? Biohazard, Roadrunner debut, Urban Discipline, Megadeth, post-Black album, Countdown to Extinction.
Coors Light. I'm very cool with Biohazard being on the list. I don't think that theirs don't deserve to be on the list as much as Pete does. But it's fucking Countdown to Extinction. There's a small handful of records that are going to beat that for me. So I would never vote against that, especially with Biohazard.
So I'm with you also. Countdown to Extinction has gone back and forth from being my favorite Megadeth record between that and Rust in Peace. Right this second, Countdown is my favorite Megadeth record. I was obsessed with this fucking record. I love Biohazard. This is not my favorite Biohazard record. We may talk about Biohazard more later on in the show, and we've talked about Megadeth a ton. So I am also voting for Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction, and unanimously it goes to the second round. The following contest, set for one fall, is between a surprising number 2 seed, Metallica Load, against the 7th seed, planting seeds across pale Halloween-obsessed hair dyers, Typo Negative, October Rust.
Oh.
First vote goes to Scuzz.
Load, man. Load is just so fucking cool. And I love people hating on Load. MTV during the Load era was so fucking fun and cool, and that's so goddamn 90s to me.
Ian, you're up next, and I really don't know where you're going to go with this. I'm very interested.
You really should. You know where I'm going.
You love blood. You love semen.
I love short hair. I love eyeliner, mascara, nipple rings.
Some of those things are both of these records.
Are you talking about Typo Negative?
Yeah, it's Load. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. I know. It's Load.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Load was one of the first Metallica albums I heard. Actually, the first 2 Metallica albums I had on burnt CD were Master of Puppets and Load. So Load was always part of my Metallica fandom from the beginning. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some shit on there that I'll say, like, maybe a little on the silly side. Ain't My Bitch, 2x4. Yes, and I love those songs. Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome, but like, a little silly from a point of view, but fucking awesome. Load for me has some of my favorite Hetfield lyrics. I like when Hetfield gets a bit more introspective and starts talking about his feelings.
His insecurities.
Yeah, he's scared. I think when he writes like that, it's just, I don't know, man, fucking rocks. Outlaw Torn is one of my favorite Metallica songs. Load is in my top 5 favorite Metallica records. I would put it over Kill 'Em All. I know that probably makes me seem like a real crazy person, but anyone that knows me knows I'm a real crazy person. So,
Yo, you are legitimately a crazy person, and not even for this take. But I know that you love Load.
Say it, man.
Oh, I don't have anything else. Okay, so we got 2 for Load. Tom.
Yo, what's up? October Rust is the best Typo Negative record that exists. Love you to death. I'm pretty sure that song is about just munching out some chick's box on a bed of watery flowers.
Tom,
and
Tom,
yeah,
I'll do anything to make you come.
Exactly. Dude, are you kidding? You're talking about Hetfield's lyrics? Take a page out of Pete's book, bro. I really like Load, but I fucking love October Rust. Every song on that record is fucking banging.
I think I said that to the last girl I was dating.
That every one of her songs is banging?
No, then I'll do anything to make you come.
God, I can't wait to move on. But moving on, I get the next vote. I don't like October Rust, and I do like Load, so we'll talk about it more in the second round because Load moves on. But let's also hear from Pete.
I'll vote for Metallica's Load because Bleeding Me's on it, and that's one of my 10 favorite Metallica songs. I really like King Nothing. I think Mama Said is a fucking country song. And I personally don't care about Typo, so.
I could play the intro to King Nothing on guitar. That's the only thing I can play guitar.
Yo,
I mean, not right, but I could kind of play it.
Drummers playing guitar is funnier than guitar players playing drums. Super interesting match here with 3rd seed influential band Death and their album Symbolic taking on the 6th seed non-Pixar based video band Tool with Undertow. Ian, you get first vote.
Oh, it's fucking Death, man. Come on. Tool, great band. Not a band I ever really cared about. I don't care. Death, I care.
There you go. Sum it up real nice.
That's all I gotta say.
Tom, what do you care about?
I care about Dave.
All right, so that's 2 for Death. I have the 3rd vote here. You know what? I love that Tool record. I was obsessed with Sober. Remember when Sober came out?
I can't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth.
I don't understand why. You could see my mouth and hear.
I never knew you to even have any sort of...
I'm not going to lie. I agree with Tom. I'm surprised that I don't think I've ever heard you talk about Tool before. Ever.
It's really interesting because if you guys would have done that 6-week tour with your band, you would have heard me play that album a handful of times while I was driving.
I'm going to go eat dinner.
Scuzz, you've been eating this entire podcast.
I don't like Tool.
It's not true. It's not true.
So I'm not a fan of Tool as a band overall, but I really, really like this album. And I just started to like Death after so many opportunities of them failing to click with me. It was less than a year ago that I finally listened to this record and it clicked like, oh, I fucking get it. Album is totally, totally cool, but my loyalty is with that first Tool record. And I feel like my vote's not going to matter here, and it shouldn't, because even though I'm voting for Tool, they should not advance in this, and I feel like I'm going to get voted out right now. So, Pete.
Death Symbolic, baby. That shit rocks. What's interesting about that Tool record is fucking long.
It's overindulgent.
See, now that is what got me into Tool because...
Oh, are you a Tool fan?
I put Einema on my list because I like weird mushroom Tool.
Yeah.
When I listen to Tool, I want to go into the fucking multiverse, and I don't get that with Undertow.
Yes, I agree. Undertow is just a bunch of metal songs, depending on how you define metal.
Yeah, like I want 46 and 2. I want Stinkfist. I want, Hooker with a Penis. I want that stuff. But to me, Death Symbolic is symbolic of fucking rad goddamn Florida death metal with really cool technical edge to it. Chuck is as both a guitar player and a riff writer and a soloer and a vocalist. Fucking iconic.
Insane.
Yeah.
Death is a band a couple of years ago, especially when we first started touring, every local band tried to sound like Death, and they were never obviously able to do it. And then people just stopped trying to sound like Death again for a little while. That is a record of everything I said. If it took so long for it to click with me, it probably, now that it's going to beat out Tool, will move further on this tournament, even with my approval. But Scuzz, let's hear from you.
I'm going to go with the Tool record for the same reasons that you're talking about earlier. The songs are just cool. It's the first introduction to them, and I listen to it more. I like it more, and I still think it's heavy as hell. regardless of what we all know Tool to be now.
Yeah.
And going back and listening to it, and it's more fresh in my mind right now because I finally just got to see them live for the first time. And I've been listening to them a lot lately. And if I just put it on shuffle and a song from that record comes on, it's just like, God damn, yeah. Like, yes. I'm going to go with Tool, even though Death Symbolic is an important and amazing record, but I'm going to go with Tool.
So a closer match than I thought it would be, but Death Symbolic moves on, and that is the right decision.
Yeah.
Appropriate for the Jenna Jameson bracket to come to an end. Two bands with sexy as hell frontmen. Guns N' Roses, Use Your Illusion 2 in the 4th seed against Judas Priest Painkiller in the 5th seed, which Ian played at a talent show in high school that we watched a few times and did much laughter to. Tom, first vote.
It's going to be Guns for me, baby.
You're a fucking piece of shit.
No, you know why? Because fuck you. Because I know how bad you wanted to be Judas Priest, but I don't give a fuck. It's a fucking Slash, baby. Sending that bitch off the fucking cliff. See you later.
Yo, check this out. I get second vote. I think Painkiller might actually be my favorite Judas Priest record. I don't know if that's like a weird take or not. I was never a huge Priest guy, but I think this record fucking really sounds like a robotic eagle flying through the sky. But guess what else flies through the sky? Slash's car, heavy metal guitar solo. Don't Cry with alternate lyrics, so inferior to Don't Cry with the proper lyrics from Use Your Illusion 1. Estranged, inferior to November Rain. Guess what? Still picking Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 2.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about, boy.
Pete, third vote.
So straight up, my two favorite Guns N' Roses songs are on Use Your Illusion 2. You Could Be Mine and Civil War.
Oh, we didn't even talk about You Could Be Mine yet. There could be no other song. There could be no other song in the entire record. It could just literally be Use Your Illusion 2 length of just You Could Be Mine over and over again.
14 times.
And it still might win the whole fucking thing. Okay, sorry, Pete, go on.
I mean, you're talking
wish.
about...
Nobody else gets the joke other than me, and that's why I love it. So it's fine.
one of the greatest goddamn rock and roll songs ever with guitar on it. But
Heavy metal song.
if you look up heavy metal in the dictionary, there is a picture of Judas fucking Priest.
Yeah.
And so I'm voting Painkiller.
So we got 2 for Guns N'
Yeah, that's
Roses,
cool.
1 for Judas Priest. Now we have Scuzz.
As for all the bands that will argue shouldn't be on this list, I don't have an opinion on really any of them until we get to Guns N' Roses. I don't think Guns N' Roses is a metal band. If you'd ask anybody what would be your favorite song from Guns N' Roses, I'm going to say most people will probably say November Rain. And even though that's not on this record, like, is that a metal song? Fucking hell no. And then you put it up against a 50-year career in heavy metal. It's Judas Priest. I'm going to pick Judas Priest. Yeah. What you may speak.
Me?
Yes, your hand was up.
You don't think November Rain is a heavy metal song?
No, I don't.
Well, what do you mean?
Hey, Tom, have you listened to metal before?
Hey, have you ever seen Slash on top of that fucking grand piano?
Yo, he's a rock star. No one's saying that, but like
flannel shirt open, fucking.
Okay, while he's got his fucking shirt open on a rock, homeboy is entering a stage on a goddamn Harley. What's more metal?
You know what?
Yeah. Yeah, what's more metal, dude?
Suck on this.
LA sucks.
Take a dick.
Okay, so we got 2 for rock and roll band Guns N' Roses. We got 2 for rock-a-rolla band Judas Priest. The final vote goes to Ian, the one who wrote Painkiller and played it outside with Taekwon on VHS.
I mean, it's a pretty easy pick. You got arguably the most metal album all time, and an album that's A, not metal, and B, not good. So,
Dude, no. Do not say that, dude.
yo, we were listening to Use Your Illusion 2 in the van on like one of the last tours, and it's not good.
2 is better than 1.
No, it's not.
Then 1 sucks
No, it's
too. I'm
not.
sorry. That shit is whack, man.
2 is not better than 1.
2 is
Stop
better than
wagging.
1.
Stop
2 is
wagging
better
your
than 1.
Yo,
Hey, listen,
my world.
I will give You Could Be Mine, and I'll give you Civil War too. I love those songs, but Painkiller, do I need to reiterate?
No.
Whips. chains, leather, hard fucking, whiskey, weed, beer, fuck you, Judas Priest. My mic is clipping and I don't care.
All right, cool. So Judas Priest with all their evilin wins the final matchup of the Jenna Jameson bracket. A lot of these bands were kicking ass in the 90s and did way less in the 2000s. So in honor of that, let's have a weeknight party as we head into the Monday Nitro bracket. A major favorite in this whole shit in their 4th appearance here, number 1 seed, Pantera Far Beyond Driven in a contrast of styles contest with wildcard 8th seed Iron Maiden Fear of the Dark. So I get first vote here. Fear of the Dark is one of those Iron Maiden albums that I will start at the beginning and just keep listening. And then when I get to Fear of the Dark, I'm usually, I've had enough of Iron Maiden. And I kind of write off this record until I do listen to it for some other reason. Dude, this record gets a bad rap. There's nothing wrong with this album. I know people got bummed because they went a little, I don't even want to say commercial, but for them, kind of maybe a little more hard rock as opposed to their traditional Iron Maiden metal. I'm saying this because I don't think that Fear of the Dark is a bad album. I think Fear of the Dark live from the following live album is so cool when he says, "Fear of the Dark, you." Really cool. I just spent all that time because, dude, come on, fucking, there's no goddamn fucking way in any way, shape, or form, in any reality, I'm choosing that over Far Beyond Driven. Because, I mean, Monday is Chest Day is Far Beyond Driven, Papa Wheelies is Far Beyond Driven, getting into fights with the Hall Aides in high school or middle school or whatever is Far Beyond Driven. I got a Far Beyond Driven bootleg tour shirt from Marshall's and then wore it to the first day of 9th grade. So Far Beyond Driven wins. Pete.
Far Beyond Driven. I mean, what else is there to say?
Does this bum you out because you were the only one who put Iron Maiden Fear of the Dark on your list?
Not bummed. I put this on there because, well, the title track has become an iconic Iron Maiden song. To me, it's not their best. A list of metal without Iron Maiden seems incorrect to me. But the problem is, this gets put up against, once again, quite possibly the best album on this fucking whole goddamn thing. God damn it. It's fucking Far Beyond Driven. And I probably have brought this up before, but obviously the front half, but the fucking back half. Holy fuck.
Yeah, man.
Fuck.
Unreal. Heavy. The groove. The everything. And fucked your girlfriend last night.
Yeah, man.
Well, hey, speaking of that, Scuzz.
What?
I don't know. What?
Yeah.
All right. No, I mean, easy. Iron Maiden is a fucking legacy and important, but man, fucking, you snored and drooled while I fucked your love, dude. Like, it's so good.
Song sucks.
That's probably the least, like, good song on the record, but yeah.
Probably.
Far Beyond Driven is just, well, Rick was fighting Hall Aides. I was having parties when my parents went away for the weekend with mutual friends, drinking whiskey and punching each other in the fucking mouth to this record. Fucking thing rules.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It does. Except, when Phil punches you in the back of the head, it kind of hurts.
Want zip?
It's Heyman.
You want some broccoli and macaroni for breakfast?
Yo, I love when Phil made us macaroni and broccoli for breakfast. And I'm not even lying. I do love it. Ian, next vote.
Man, let me tell you, if the Iron Maiden pick was Virtual 11, this would be a way harder debate. No, it's fucking Far Beyond Driven, man. Come on, give me a fucking break. Fear of the Dark, cool shit on it. Be Quicker, Be Dead, the title track, other songs I don't give a fuck about. Far Beyond Driven, lots of songs I give a fuck about. Lots of songs that do fuck. It's heavy. It gives Haid. It gets Haid. Fuck you, Far Beyond Driven.
So we got 4 for Far Beyond Driven. Tom, I'm assuming unanimous here.
Totally unanimous. I don't even fucking like Iron Maiden, so what the fuck is up?
Oh, but you love Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Quit.
Yo, no.
Okay.
Do you remember what happened in January? Don't say that.
Yeah, dude. You want to get quit on again? I'll do it.
Okay.
Fucking Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 all day over fucking Fear of the Dark.
I mean, I won't even argue that.
Far Beyond Driven. No, Far Beyond Driven is the most important record on all of this entire goddamn fucking thing. I get emotional when I talk about it.
So Far Beyond Driven moves on to the second round. Unanimous decision. Major, major favorite in this whole thing. How many more times do you guys say that? Another major clash of styles here with the second seed, Testament, The Gathering, against a somewhat surprising entry of 7th seed, Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger. First vote goes to Pete.
So, Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger. Not metal, don't care. Testament, The Gathering.
Scuzz.
I had Bad Motorfinger on my list, but I also had The Gathering on my list. The Gathering is one of those records that when I think about, I wish I wrote it. The Gathering is my favorite Testament record. It's some of my favorite work from Dave Lombardo, who is back in Testament. That rocks. There's so many songs on that record that I think are absolutely amazing. And the way that record flows from beginning to end, I think is just so good. I'll argue that it's their best. But I know it's like during a weird time of the band that people may not have been on board with them the most or even like knew they were still around. But I'm going Testament, The Gathering.
Ian.
Let me ask you this. Does Dave Lombardo play drums on Bad Motorfinger? No, The Gathering.
Tom.
The Gathering as well.
So obviously I'm also picking Testament, The Gathering. Dude, underrated record, and I know that's crazy because I think so.
I wouldn't even say that necessarily. Like, history looks pretty fondly on that record nowadays.
Okay, so that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
I think this is a lot of people's favorite 90s Testament record. At the time, this was not a huge deal. So much so, I didn't even know that Lombardo, my favorite drummer, was on this record. Had no idea till just now. But this record...
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, I'm dumb as hell, dude. I get dumber as the days go by, and I'm so old and stupid. But you know what? I think Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger, the two singles from this record, same thing I thought with Allison Chains, marketed as grunge, yada, yada, yada. I've always thought of Soundgarden, early stuff, as a metal band. Now, I wouldn't argue with someone that they weren't also grunge, also hard rock. Later, after Bad Motorfinger, definitely just hard rock. Not mad about their inclusion whatsoever. I actually like this album to a certain extent, but it gets a little tedious to listen to.
It's just, this is a bad matchup for this record, too. Like, if it were, against something else, it might have fared better, but The Gathering is fucking really stiff competition.
Yeah, so we love Testament in this band, obviously. So Testament unanimously goes to the second round. We're staying in the Seattle area for another bound to be controversial entry. For the third time, we have Allison Chains, now with Dirt, in the third seed against a crossover favorite, 6th seed, Suicidal Tendencies with Lights, Camera, Revolution. Scuzz, these were both on your list, and you get first vote.
There's a lot of Dirt that I don't think is as metal as other Allison Chains.
Oh, you fucking... you...
What?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
So for that reason, I think what Lights, Camera, Revolution brings to the table, maybe more metal, and I like a lot of it. And given the circumstances of the competition, I'll probably go Suicidal.
Ian, you get second vote.
So I just want to talk about Lights, Camera, Revolution for a minute. Instrumentally, man, some of the best musicianship of that era. Rocky George, man, one of the fucking sickest guitar players, criminally underrated, I think. Rob Trujillo, what more can I fucking say? That album is so sick. Sonically, I think one of the best soundings, or like one of the best examples of like, this is what metal should sound like, at least like at that time. And I mean, there's just so many good fucking badass tracks on that album. But I mean, Dirt, it's really good.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to do the same thing I did with fucking Skid Row and Deftones. So I didn't even put Dirt on my list, but I'm going to go with Dirt.
So we're split one apiece right now. And Tom, you have the next vote.
Dirt, hands down. It's one of my top fivers, man. Shit rocks.
So I have the next vote. We have 2 for Allison Chains, 1 for Suicidal Tendencies. Dirt is probably not even just as far as band, but album-wise in my top 5 of favorite albums ever. I know we could talk about the are they metal or not discussion again. To me, Allison Chains, even on this record, still metal in the same way that Black Sabbath is metal. I know the parameters kind of change as time evolves, and that is fair. I never thought of this as not a metal album, even when I also thought about this as a grunge album. I don't know why I'm doing so much fucking qualifying here, but dude, Allison Chains' Dirt is one of the most important records in my entire life. Suicidal Tendencies is a band I cannot possibly say enough about and how much I love the band. And Lights Camera Revolution is usually the go-to record for Suicidal fans who like them more for their metal than their punk or hardcore, even, quote unquote crossover. For some reason, even this record with the sickest riffs, this record has never stuck with me. And I know that I'm missing out on something. So all that qualification, I am picking Allison Chains Dirt. So Allison Chains, surprisingly, in a metal tournament is edging out Suicidal before we even get to the last vote. Maybe it's not so surprising, but either way. Pete, what's your vote?
This is interesting because I've already fucking gone against my "it's not metal, I'm not gonna vote for it" thing with Allison Chains already when I voted Facelift over River Runs Red. I've never really been a Suicidal Tendencies fan, so this was an album that I earmarked to go back and listen to, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. Surf Heshers, mixing their thrash with a little bit of, I even get like a little hint of New York hardcore in there, which is pretty cool, and fucking riffs and solos, and if that shit's your shit, it's got it all. And I even think the vocals are kind of cool. They're slightly left field for like a thrash metal band.
For sure.
It's very different than say like some of their contemporaries. But holy fuck, Dirt is perfect from the first second to the last one.
Yeah.
Like straight up. Like, I've said a lot of stuff about how, Pantera's the shit and this album's going to win and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, man, I fucking like Dirt maybe just as much. It's a completely different listen than Trendkill or Driven.
Yeah.
Dirt to me is like benchmark.
It's a perfect
record, man. And it really is. From the second then Bones starts and then you end with Wood, it's like, fuck, man. So it's got to be Dirt.
So Allison Chains gets 4 out of 5 votes. But dude, you're right. Suicidal, Southern California, hardcore, American punk progenitors. And they've always been cited and referenced, and people try to copy them, and nobody ever even comes close to getting it right. And the only band that I could really say that has even come close is Take Offense. And they have their own spin on it, which is excellent. And everybody in that band is excellent at what they're doing. But Suicidal is an impossible band to copy. And that's why I understand we're saying like, oh, well, you hear thrash because they were doing thrash before thrash was thrash to a certain extent because they were just doing it in their brand of punk and hardcore. And New York hardcore took the tough guy aesthetic from Suicidal, which they were like the first band to introduce a tough guy aesthetic and gangs and shit into punk and hardcore. And New York hardcore took that from them. But even when they were trying to, it became its own thing immediately. So, man, I feel really, really guilty voting against Suicidal. And in all actuality, I don't think any Suicidal record could have beat Dirt. Could have beat any other Allison Chains record for me if it was a different Suicidal record. But impossible matchup for them in my eyes, and apparently 4 of the 5 hours' eyes. So Allison Chains Dirt moves on. The final match in not just the Monday Nitro bracket, but the entire first round of our favorite 90s metal album tournament. Number 4 seed, the I'm riding the bus to Smithtown High School in suburban Long Island, but I'm channeling urban New York City album, Biohazard's State of the World Address, taking on new metal classic, the number 5 seeded Korn with their debut self-titled album. Last match of the entire first round. Ian, first vote.
Korn.
That's it.
Just Korn, man. That's really all I got.
Tom.
Rick, I'm sorry, man, but I'm going to go with Korn also.
God, you guys should be fucking sorry.
No, that record is awesome. A little embarrassing, I guess, like to be like, oh, it's really sick, but it is. That's a pivotal record for that genre, for sure. And
I can't argue with that whatsoever. You know what's interesting? So I listened to this record the other day, and I don't think I've ever listened to this record start to finish in my entire life. I like this band more as I get older, which is a conversation we had last episode, which is really, really interesting. This album is the next progression from the first Rage Against the Machine album as far as going more into that metal realm, but taking the Rage influence. And I've never put that together before until I was listening to this the other day, and I found that very interesting. Another thing that's interesting about Korn, from my point of view, because I was already years and years deep into being a Hesher metal kid by the time Korn came out, and it was like, what the fuck is this stuff? And then you eventually find out about new metal and everything. Even though I had that point of view, to younger people, Korn is straight up just a ground level staple metal band.
Yeah.
So even though it's just not my shit for the most part, I have so much respect for what they've done, and they've stuck to it. And I like monkeys more than any other animals aside from Paco. So, you know, whatever. A bunch of those guys love Jesus and talk about it a lot, which, you know, is like silly as hell. Anyway, Biohazard, State of the World Address is my favorite Biohazard album. This is probably in my top 20 of albums. This is their most metal album. Everything about this record to me is unbelievably cool. Lyrically, it's different from other metal. It has the right amount of hardcore in it that once I got into hardcore, I went back to this record and said, oh, this is kind of hardcore, even though it's a metal album. Dude, 5 Blocks to the Subway. If you could listen to that record and not kind of bone up a little bit that like you're at least considering pushing the person walking past you next, no matter who they are, then you just have no blood in your nuts at all. So I am voting Biohazard. Next vote goes to Pete.
There is only one song between these two albums that I like out of all the songs on the two albums. And I don't want to vote for either one of these. Like, at all, but I will vote for Korn's Self-Titled simply because them doing Blind at Woodstock, and it cuts to the crowd after it drops, and it looks like the ocean in the middle of a fucking storm, and it is one of the coolest crowd shots ever. Plus, I just think in general, Blind is an iconic song in all of metal-dom, you know, with the intro and the little ting 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 ting. Like, I really don't care about either band that much, but I'm gonna vote Korn.
In gym class, when the Korn record came out, Tim Delaney would always sing the chorus. I was like, what are you singing? He's like, Korn. I was like, you like that? He's like, yeah. And it's so funny because it's so opposite of anything he would ever like. But Korn wore kilts, so it makes perfect sense for Tim to like him. Korn moves on. Scuzz, what would your vote be?
It would be for Korn. There's so much to this record that I think so important for heavy music in general that I just think that why are you both laughing right now as I start talking?
Oh,
Tom. I didn't say anything about moving my head or brain space or anything like that. Like,
I'm smiling
what the fuck?
because Korn is moving on, but now if you want me to point out your insecurities, you're just instantly defensive for no reason. This is the shit we got to deal with this fucking guy all the time.
Yeah, man, Korn's cool. I'm gonna pick Korn. Fuck you.
Yeah, cool.
Ashes,
on.
we all fall down. Fuck
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nursery rhymes on Korn. You know, they don't talk about fighting because all those guys would lose fights, but that's fine. Korn moves on. You know, I'm sure most people would agree with that, so I will be alone in my principles as far as ending this show on
There he goes, writing that song alone with my principles.
ending the show on an embarrassing note. But guys, we motherfucking did it and completed 32 matchups in the first round of this goddamn menagerie over 2 fucking episodes discussing 64 albums. It's Friday night, so who gives a shit, right? Everybody feel good so far or what?
Everybody in LA is asleep right now.
No one's having any
No
fun.
one's having any fun.
Hey, Scuzz, what's that from?
I don't know that one. You guys got me on that one.
Okay, before we go, let's get everyone connected to you guys on socials and the internet. Ian.
My Instagram handle is Ian_B.C._. Those dots are period. Follow me or don't. I don't care. It's Friday night and I'm trying to party, baby.
You didn't even say his whole name. You
Couldn't even finish it.
You didn't even spell your whole thing.
What do you mean? I didn't? Did I leave at the last underscore?
Yeah, Tom's just gaslighting you.
I don't think I am, but that's fine.
Tom, what about you?
Twood631 on Instagram.
At Ebs.
Yeah,
Pete.
yeah.
Instagram and the twits, repeat DTD. I just want to say the next round is going to be fucking difficult.
Very difficult.
I relish it, but I also don't at the same time.
It's going to be horde.
Scuzz, you probably love Relish. What is your Instagram?
I do like Relish, preferably
Relish fan.
Sweet Pickles. You can follow me on Instagram at balding and sexy. And I feel really stupid about picking Suicidal Tendencies over Dirt. But, you know, them's be the breaks, man. It's just what I
that way about
thought.
a lot of things.
And them's bones.
I mean, drink yourself, go to bed, and try not to wake up.
Oh,
please,
but
all right?
did you ever hear him play guitar?
Yeah, I mean, he's got talent, but he's such a pain in the ass.
No, we need
Handsome
that.
too.
I am.
Well, as always, you can find me on all platforms at Rick as Hell. Follow the band at Extinction A.D. everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can hear the next 2 episodes of this tournament and see all the old and upcoming episodes of our show. It's go time, you asshole. Stream our new album, Culture of Violence, that was released by Unique Leader Records last month on Spotify and Apple and everywhere else. For better off, buy a CD or grab the vinyl from Unique Leader's website, where you can also get a bonus 10-inch of our latest EP, Chaos Collusion Cards of Propaganda.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's it. We'll see you for the second round soon, and until then, get dangerous, lift weights, chug a Red Bull, bang your head, and never don't kick anyone's ass that deserves you.
You've been listening to the Stiff Shots Podcast Network. Cool.